The federal government's facing the real prospect of the Senate voting down a bill crucial to setting up its national broadband network. The government wants the legislation to split up Telstra past this year. But with only 3 days left in the parliamentary year, the bill's fate lies in the hands of 2 crossbench senators. And one of them's threatening to reject it unless he sees a key report. Amidst the pressure, the government will welcome a turnaround in its fortunes in tomorrow's news poll in the Australian newspaper. Susan McDonald reports from Canberra.
With just a few days until the summer break,
Hooray.
Friday can't come soon enough.
Too right.
For the Speaker, patience is wearing thin.
Sit down.
And for the government, time is running out to bridge Parliament's digital divide.
In front of the Senate at the moment is an incredibly important piece of legislation.
The bill to split Telstra paves the way for the national broadband network. So far, only the Greens have promised to support it.
So much for solidarity.
In return, the government's agreed to conditions for privatising the NBN, including a joint inquiry overseen by the Productivity Commission and a vote in Parliament.
For us, it clears the way to debate and pass the legislation.
The opposition sees it as a back-down.
Isn't this a further example of how the government is losing its way while the Greens are finding theirs inside the Gillard government?
But Julia Gillard insists privatisation remains the ultimate goal.
We have been happy to agree in order to deal with these questions in the Senate.
Without coalition support, the government needs both independents. One of them appears far from convinced.
This is a big deal. This is Australia's biggest infrastructure project.
Through the course of the day, Nick Xenophon held talks with the Finance Minister, the head of NBN Co Mike Quigley and Telstra's CEO. But the Senator says he won't consider the bill unless the government releases the business plan for its broadband network.
That got my back up instantly.
He's been offered a private briefing, which initially came with a 7-year gag order.
This seems more draconian than national security briefings. It's not as though we're getting briefed about Al-Qaeda.
The confidentiality clause has since been reduced to 2 weeks when the government is due to make the plan public, but Nick Xenophon wouldn't agree.
The Prime Minister.
In a bid to regain the momentum, the government's targeting the man leading the attack. It's emerged Malcolm Turnbull has a multi-million-dollar investment in an IT company, which thinks the NBN will be good for business.
The member for Wentworth has 10 million reasons to be supportive of the NBN. Most politicians get asked to put their money where their mouth is. We simply ask the member for Wentworth to put his mouth where his money is.
The disgraceful suggestion that I should act corruptly and dishonestly by, and I quote, putting his mouth where his money is, speaks volumes about the standards of those who have made that disgraceful suggestion.
The opposition's been calling for a cost-benefit analysis of the NBN. The latest news poll shows that 42% of those polled support the idea, while 23% say the network should be built without one. But the opinion poll has some good news for the government. Julia Gillard's rating as Better Prime Minister has risen 5 points, while Tony Abbott's popularity is down 3. And in the two-party preferred vote, Labor has regained the lead, 52% to the Coalition's 48%. There's talk in the Senate of delaying a vote on the Telstra bill and recalling Parliament next month. It's an unlikely prospect. The government wants the deal done this week, just as the opposition is using the last sitting week for its own purposes, pushing its banking agenda.
Private members' business.
The Coalition has introduced its private members' bill to crack down on collusive behaviour by the banks.
It is a bill which will create great uncertainty because they have not been working with the regulators to get this right.
The government is holding out to release its own package of reforms next month.
The government talks the talk but never walks the walk. That's the bottom line.
A crucial independent MP is losing patience too.
Disappointedly, we've seen little from the government except a vague promise of a plan sometime soon. The Prime Minister stands on the world stage and complains banks are ripping Australians off. But so far she's done nothing to stop them, and that's not good enough.
In this tightly contested parliament, every vote counts and is not to be missed.
There's a division. Have 4 minutes to make it, and your time starts.
Even live television gets a back seat.
Lock the doors.
For the record, Liberal backbencher Kelly O'Dwyer made the vote. Susan McDonald, Late Line.